You stand in the hallway of a Kaiser Permanente clinic in Irvine. You hold a lukewarm Starbucks cup and a bag of Panera Catering. You wait for a 60-second window with a physician who won't look you in the eye. Your signature on a 2026 supply chain agreement determines which of the 3 major insurers will allow a specific oncology drug to exist in the United States. You park your fleet-issued Chevy Equinox in the back of the hospital lot at 7:15 a.m. The engine block ticks in the cold air. You check the iPad to confirm Dr. Arasaka's prescribing decile for a new biologic. ZS Associates reports that 65% of physicians in the United States limit or prohibit access to sales reps. You walk through the automatic sliding doors of the clinic. You stand in the hallway next to the water cooler for 40 minutes. Medical staff walk past the designated waiting area. You hand a glossy pamphlet to a medical assistant. You record the interaction as a successful detail in the CRM software. Entry-level pharmaceutical sales representatives in the United States earn a median total compensation of $112,000. Will your territory's rebate volume clear the new Medicare Part D floor? You walk back to the hospital parking lot. You sit in the driver's seat of the Equinox. You eat a protein bar in the car. You tell yourself that the $15,000 quarterly bonus is worth the 3 hours you spend staring at the beige paint of the oncology ward's waiting room. You carry 3 boxes of Mediterranean catering into a private practice in North Dallas. The receptionist buzzes you through the glass door. You set the trays on a break room table. You unpack the plastic forks and the paper plates. You wait against the wall for the residents to finish their plates. The Federal Open Payments Database reports that the pharmaceutical industry paid $3.5 billion to U.S. doctors for meals, travel, and consulting fees in 2024. You wipe a spill off the counter with a paper towel. You stand at the head of the table. You explain the molecular structure of a new biologic for 180 seconds. The residents nod without looking up from their phones. You leave a stack of copay cards by the exit. You walk back to the parking garage. You sit in the driver's seat. You open the CRM application. You check the script tracking data for the 75201 zip code on your phone. You refresh the screen to look for a corresponding spike in new patient starts. You tell yourself that you aren't buying prescriptions. You are providing the necessary fuel for a busy medical staff to function. You sit in a glass-walled conference room at a regional health system headquarters in Nashville. You project a slide deck on population health management onto a flat screen. You click to the pricing matrix. You offer a 12% discount if the health system moves your product to the preferred formulary tier. According to Avalier Health, integrated delivery networks now control over 70% of physician practices in major U.S. metro areas. A National Bureau of Economic Research report shows that hospital-acquired physician groups prescribe 20% more high-cost specialty drugs than independent practices. You slide a printed term sheet across the table. The pharmacy director reviews the volume commitments. You sign a contract for a 3-year supply agreement. You walk out to the elevator bank. You press the lobby button. You open your phone. You scroll through your address book. You delete the personal cell phone numbers of individual doctors from your contacts. You open a reporting dashboard on your laptop. You look at the aggregate prescription data, the 40,000 covered lives. You tell yourself that moving the needle on a 40,000 patient population is more efficient than chasing one doctor at a time. You log into the corporate portal at 8 a.m. You open a spreadsheet containing the performance metrics of 12 territory managers. You sort the rows by prescription volume. You mark the bottom 2 names in red. Industry sales benchmarks dictate a 15% annual turnover rate for underperforming pharmaceutical representatives. Are you really going to put them on a performance plan? You open the expense approval system. You approve a $40,000 budget for a speaker program at a steakhouse in Chicago. You put on a headset. You listen to a recorded audio file of a territory manager's sales call. You open the printed corporate compliance manual. You highlight the word efficacy with a yellow marker. Financial disclosures show regional managers oversee territories generating $150 million in annual revenue. You open a blank email. You type the Q3 growth target of 8.5% into the subject line. You send the message to your team. You tell yourself that managing the people who manage the medicine is the only way to ensure the system doesn't stall. You board a 6 a.m. flight to Bloomington, Minnesota, to meet with a pharmacy benefit manager. You take a black car to the corporate campus. You sit across a glass table from a lead negotiator for United Health. 3 pharmacy benefit managers, CVS Caremark, Express Scripts, and Optum RX, process 80% of all prescriptions in the United States. You open a manila folder. You point to a printed spreadsheet. You discuss the rebate to list price ratio. You offer a 35% rebate to keep a competitor off the formulary. Manufacturer rebates paid to PBMs reached $250 billion in 2025. You type numbers into a financial model on your laptop. You calculate the net price after the 340B drug pricing program discount. You turn the laptop screen toward the negotiator. The negotiator reviews the gross to net yield. You sign the rebate agreement with a black pen. You tell yourself that the rebate is the price of keeping the pharmacy shelves stocked. You pack your laptop into your briefcase. You leave the building. You take a car back to the terminal. You walk to the airport lounge. You walk down K Street in Washington. You wear a charcoal suit. You enter the Dirksen Senate office building. You pass the security checkpoint. You place your briefcase on the conveyor belt. You retrieve it. You ride the elevator to the 3rd floor. You meet a staffer for the Senate Finance Committee. You sit in a windowless office. You open the briefcase. You hand over a 1-page summary. The document details the innovation costs of rare disease treatments. Open Secrets reports the pharmaceutical industry spends over $380 million annually on federal lobbying. Public citizen data shows 3 pharmaceutical lobbyists operate for every member of Congress. You take out a corporate's checkbook. You write a check for a political action committee. You slide the paper across the desk. You check your phone. You monitor the text of an amendment. The amendment modifies Medicare price negotiations. You stand up. You exit the office. You walk down the marble hallway. You enter a committee hearing room. You find an empty leather chair. You sit in the back row. You look at the microphone on the witness table. You adjust your tie. You sit in a room with 3 lawyers. You look at a monitor. You review patent expiration dates. The statin exclusivity period ends in 12 months. You point to a date. You approve an evergreening strategy. You dictate instructions to a lawyer. You file a patent on a formulation modification. You open a folder. You review trial data. The data belongs to a startup. The Tufts Center for the Study of Drug Development reports a Phase 2 drug acquisition costs $1.5 billion. Evaluate Pharma records show 90% of capital budgets fund competitor purchases. Corporations close discovery labs. You authorize the purchase of the startup. The price equals $2.4 billion. You close the folder. You open a spreadsheet. You review a profit margin column. You highlight a row. The row contains an antibiotic project. The margin reads 4%. You press delete. You discontinue research funding. You turn your head. You look at a map on the wall. The map displays trial sites in 60 countries. You pick up a pen. You unscrew the cap. You sign the acquisition papers. You sit at a table in a building overlooking Central Park. You open a folder. You listen to the Chief Financial Officer report, a 14% dividend increase. You mark the page. You vote to approve a $10 billion stock buyback. The Spencer Stewart Board Index reports the directors at pharmaceutical firms receive a retainer of $350,000 plus equity. A Moody's ratings analysis shows the top 10 pharmaceutical companies hold over $120 billion in cash reserves. You turn the page. You look at a document detailing the pricing structure for the market. You read the revenue figures. You place a pen on the blotter. You wait for the chairman to speak. You stand up. A young woman in a tailored suit enters the lobby of the corporate headquarters in New Jersey. She walks across the floor. She carries a brand new iPad and a leather bag containing 3 boxes of samples. She stops at the security desk. She pulls a lanyard from her pocket. She shows her ID badge. Do you remember the weight of the bag? You watch her through the glass of the executive elevator. As the doors slide shut, she stands still. She waits for the medical assistant to call her name. You do not look back at the lobby when the elevator reaches the 40th floor. The machine continues to move the medicine because the machine is the only thing that knows the real price.